Hello, I'm Rachel from Douentza Garden in Ireland, and you are very welcome to this video. But it is a video of mixed emotions. And on the one hand, I should be ecstatic, and I really am, because I have received this amazing plant in the post today, which I am about to unbox with you. It's an amazing Caudex plant, a fat bottom plant that has come to me from the Netherlands. But on the other hand, I am feeling quite sad because the previous plant that I got from this same company is no more, and I will get on to that in a little bit. But first we're going to unbox this wonderful plant, and then we are going to find out all about who it is replacing. Okay, and we are of course going to start with the exciting part of this unboxing, which is to open up this plant, which I received today. It arrived maybe half an hour ago from the Netherlands, from a company called Caudex, and it's a company I've bought from before and have found their customer service to be really excellent, and their Caudex plants to be absolutely amazing. Now this, wait till you see this. Okay. I have packaging here. Oh my God. You can't see what I'm seeing. Oh, it's an amazing sight. You don't really want to look, do you? Well, did I mention she was going to be big? And she most certainly is big. Look at this amazing Caudex plant. Now this is Ibervillea. Wow, look at this. Look at this. Oh, it's so heavy. A fabulous Caudex plant that hails from Mexico and Texas and desert regions like that, where it relies on its succulent structure to store water and survive long periods of drought. And this plant is in active growth. No roots, but that's okay because the top growth comes before the roots, and we are going to pot this up and it's going to do brilliantly. I feel it, I know it, I deserve it. Now Ibervillea is a dioecious plant. Many large Caudex plants tend to be dioecious for whatever reason, and that means that plants are either male or female, and there is no way of knowing whether this one is male or female until it flowers, and then you can tell from the flowers. So look at the bottom side of this plant. So when I plant it, I'll bury it like this in the compost. And when I say compost, I mean a really well drained mix. Now this is in healthy growth, and look, my goodness, does it have 3 growth points? It's hard to tell. That's definitely a growth point because you can see all of the green coming out there. Oh, it's lovely and firm. Oh my God. Oh, it feels nothing like the last one. I will come on to that in a minute. Is this a growth point? I don't know. Maybe it's just a knobble, a nubbin. And this one too, because there's nothing coming out of it. And oh, we have healthy growths. I love this plant. I love the gnarledness of it and all the blemishes and dips where over time, in the many years that it's been around, it has been damaged and recovered and gone on to do great things. Okay, and here she is, and I always say with these things, you don't know what to do. Should you pot it, or should you just put it in a pram and put a blanket on it? Which of course is silly. We are going to pot this, not a question about it, but it feels like it's something so precious that it makes me think it's a baby. And this one is going to go on and do amazing, amazing things. And yeah, and it needs a name. It absolutely needs a name. And I'm going to call this plant Jessie. Now, if you've watched the channel for a while, you'll remember the previous Jessie, which was also an Ibervillea that I got from the same company. And I'm going to tell you the tale about what happened to the previous Jessie. But I do warn you, it's not a pretty tale. It's not a happy tale. And it certainly ends in disaster. Now, I just blocked this plant's ears. I don't want it to be terrified by the tale of what happened. But before I start into the grim stuff, let's just have a final look here at this gorgeous Ibervillea, which is slightly smaller than the previous one I had, but is going to be amazing. And of course, I absolutely love Caudex plants. How could you not love something as quirky and ugly and so fantastic because of its ugliness plant as this? It's a fantastic thing. And have a look at her downside now, because her or his downside, because that's going to be buried when I pot it up. But yeah, it's great. So I suppose I need to tell you what happened to the previous Ibervillea that I got and showed you in a big unboxing video. And I was really, really excited to have this wonderful plant. You know, a specimen like this is a real treasure, and this was meant to be the jewel of my plant collection. But unfortunately, things didn't go well. After I potted up Jessie, she didn't seem to do a lot. At one stage, she put out a slight little growth from the top, but that soon disappeared. And all the time, I was conscious that the growing point here was slightly soft. Now, I went onto a forum to ask other people with experience of growing Ibervillea, was this normal? And they assured me that it was. And I contacted the company that had sent me the plant, and they told me that it was normal as well, as long as the plant wasn't rotting. And the plant wasn't rotting. So I left it, and all the time not watering. I just hasten to add that all the time I was not watering this plant. I gave it an initial little dose of water around the plant that you saw happen in the video, but after that the idea was to keep it dry until such a point in time as you see growth. And then what the plant will do is it will grow the top growth first, and then afterwards it will get roots. But that never happened with my Jessie, and I began to get worried about her. And then I discovered some softness near the top. So surgery had to be carried out, and I scooped some of the flesh away until I came to hard, firm flesh, or so I thought. And this softness was around the top where the growth was, and I contacted the nursery and they said yes, that's the right thing to do, keep an eye on it. They were always very supportive, immediately responsive to any messages I sent them, which was extremely helpful. And all the time I was worried that, of course, I was damaging the growth point. And how could the plant grow if the growth point was damaged? That was my primary concern. But the nursery assured me that in the case of a mature Ibervillea, if the growth point was completely removed, it could actually push out a new one. So with that in mind, I was somewhat relieved, and I excavated the softness, which took out most of Jessie's growth point. Now, at this stage, I brought the plant indoors because I didn't want to risk it getting wet over winter in the greenhouse. So she was indoors, and she did nothing basically. But the nursery had told me she's not going to do anything. After this surgery, she may regrow again in spring, or she might take a bit longer. so I left it. And then at some stage in late spring, when Jessie still wasn't doing anything, I discovered more softness, more rot on the Caudex. And that meant I had to carry out more surgery. And this was very disappointing because I had assumed I had taken all the rot out. So again, I had to excavate into Jessie's flesh, removing anything that was soft until such a point as I came across firm flesh. And when it was removed, then doused it in sulphur. On one occasion with sulphur, on another occasion with cinnamon, and left the plant again. But it wouldn't stop rotting. And every time I looked at it, it had rotted a bit more and a bit more and a bit more. And whereas this was a very large Caudex that had started off very large, it began to look quite shocking what had been done to it and what was left. And the chance of it recovering became ever more slim, especially considering that all of the growth point was at this stage gone. So, yeah, I mean, very depressing times, because you're talking about a beautiful plant that is really quite old, probably even older than I am. And to know that it was slowly rotting and there was nothing I can do to stop it, I just couldn't get it to stop rotting. So in the end, I contacted the nursery again, and they agreed to send me this replacement for Jessie, which I am absolutely delighted with. So I am not sure what to say, except that these plants are somewhat difficult. If you get rot in a Caudex plant, even if it's a really big plant, there is very great danger that you're going to lose it. You do need to operate, and you do need to operate quickly. That's the only thing that can be said for sure. But the chance that you will save the plant is not 100%. You know, there's always an element of risk in these things, and you may end up losing it all the same. But one thing's for certain: if it's rotting, you do need to remove the rot, otherwise you definitely will lose it. So that is my long and somewhat rambling story of what happened to my previous Ibervillea. Not a happy story, but this plant here, this is going to be a happy story. I feel sure of it. It's a beautiful Caudex, and I am very happy to add it to my collection. So stay tuned and watch how I do with this one. And yeah, I guess I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.